Omar Samad is a former Afghan diplomat, and he joins us now from Washington. Omar, good to have you on the show. When you look at the situation, the Taliban, yes, they've stuck to their promise not to attack U.S. troops or NATO troops. But on the other hand, they've carried out scores of attacks on Afghan military targets. What does this announcement from the Taliban mean to you?
Well, I mean, on one hand, this is a step towards peace, and it will be considered as such by many in Afghanistan, especially those who are hurt by war, whether they're civilians, and we know what the numbers are, they're very high, who have suffered in the past weeks and months as a result of the escalated fighting that is taking place across Afghanistan, whether they are Afghan forces or on the side of the Taliban, people who live on that side. Just today, I think President Ghani announced that close to 11,000 Afghan security forces have either been killed or injured over the last 6 months, which is a very high number. So it shows that any step, even if it's minimal, whether it has to do with the release of prisoners, whether it has to do with reduction in violence, and whether it has to do with preparations for talks, are welcomed overall in Afghanistan. But obviously, there's a lot more in the details, and the devil in Afghanistan usually is in the details.
I see your cautious optimism there. You said this was a step towards peace, but I think you would agree that achieving an acceptable peace on both sides, an agreement, is not going to be easy. Talk to us about how the country looks if there's a breakdown or a failure to reach those steps, what the country is going to look like.
Well, let's look at what could cause those failures. First of all, in my opinion, it's the lack of political will. So we can pretend to want peace, we can talk about peace, but at the end of the day, maybe peace is not to one side or the other side's political advantage. So pretending is not going to help. On the other hand, we have also spoilers. We have spoilers all across, inside the country, in the region, and beyond the region. Those who think that peace serves their interests, and those who think that war serves their interests. And so this is where the Afghans are caught between these two dynamics, and the dichotomy between peace and war, I think, has made it much more difficult for the process to move forward. But at this point, I am cautiously optimistic because there's this decision that the 5,000, some of whom are supposed to be bad guys, will be released. And beyond that, that the Taliban and the government have agreed to a 3-day ceasefire, which has happened before, but we don't know whether this will be prolonged or not. And the fact that they have shown willingness to enter into talks within days, if possible. But again, what happens after the talks, what kind of talks, what issues, what agenda is open to any discussion. And it's not very clear at this point how far we're going to get into this. But every step along the way, I think, helps, knowing that there are spoilers around.
Okay, so political will and competing interests could very well determine the fate of the Afghan peace process. All right, Omar Samad, former Afghan diplomat, thank you very much for joining us here on TRT World. I do appreciate it.